If everyone could take their seats, please.
Better not be a long meeting. That's 3 meetings.
The chair would like to call to order tonight's meeting of the CUSD 201. Is there an echo in here?
There is.
Yes, there is.
It's awesome.
2 meetings in 1.
Okay, well, let's try that again. Chair will call to order the regular meeting of the CUSD 201 Board of Education tonight, February 23rd, 2016. And roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose.
Here.
Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mrs. Charlton.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mrs. Notbush.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Here.
Thank you.
If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of minutes. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the February 9th, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, motion carried. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session of the February 9th, 2016 regular meeting of the Board of Education as presented.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carried. Okay, are there any public comments? Then we will move to Celebrate Success by the WTA, please.
I'll start. So one of the things that we've been doing at South School are parent nights. So we do them 2 times a year, and we have different subjects for them each time. So one of the times we did summer fun. So we really explained all of the things in the community that you can do with your child, just to kind of have fun over the summer and still learn. This last time we did music in the early childhood classroom, and that's really a way that we can explain a lot of concepts to our kids, and then they get it very quickly with music. So we're going to show you that presentation. One of the things that we do at South a lot are called finger plays. So the 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed is something where they pick up the concept of 5, 1 finger is 5. And we do that all the time with shapes, numbers, colors. It's very, very fun for them. Some of the ways that you can do this, you can play them while you're waiting at a restaurant. I know now a lot of times the parent just gives over the phone or the tablet or anything like that, but these are an old-fashioned way that you can really still get them to recall those skills, and it's very fun. You don't need anything for it, just a singing voice. So we're going to try one right now, if you can all stand up. Okay, so you're going to follow me. Teddy bear, turn around. Teddy bear, touch the ground. Teddy bear, read the news. Teddy bear, tie your shoes. Teddy bear, go upstairs. Teddy bear, comb your hair. Teddy bear, turn off the lights. Teddy bear, say good night. Great job.
Good job, everybody.
That was fabulous.
So that's just something.
Every meeting.
It's something fun to break up the day, just like you saw. They absolutely love it, following simple directions, and it really does just break up the day and give them a little bit more energy. Another one that we do is open shut them. So when they're standing in line, that's a way to get them to calm down, get ready to go out in the hall so they're ready in those kindergarten hallways, which is good. And then I also have another link that we shared during the parent night, 5 Little Ducks. There's all of these videos on YouTube, so all of the time the parents are saying, how can we do that at home? And we gave them a lot of resources for that too. Okay.
read a book to a child is very nice, but if you sing a book with a child, it's very special. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Many children books have a lot of repetitions, and like what Jill just said, Five Little Monkey, and it's the same phrase over and over. And so it's easily can divide it in two parts. Adults sing one part, the child sing another part. One other book I really like is From Head to Toes, and my students like it too. And it goes like, I am a penguin, I turn my head. Can you do it? I can do it. And then it go on to different animals and do different things with their part of their body. I'm a giraffe, I bend my neck. Can you do it? I can do it. How nice it is to train the child to always say, I can do it. So what you do is that you select a book, and then you select a familiar tune. I find that Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star work very well with most books. And then you select the part, which part are the adult's going to say and which part the child's going to say. You can start with words for younger children. They just fill in one word, or they can fill in a phrase, or they can fill in a whole sentence. The benefit is that help them to build vocabulary, build language, and then also social skill, because children in this situation will play the part of the speaker as a listener. You have to wait. You have to wait for your turn to fill in and when to fill in. And it's a conversation, so it's really nice. So now I'm going to do one with you. This is one of my favorite books, Brown Bear, What Do You See? So when I do it with my students, when they're young, I will sing the Brown Bear, what do you see? I see a red, and they will fill in the animal. And as they get their language become better, and they will fill in red bird. So they learn the name of the animal and also learn the colors. So since you guys are all adults, so you can fill in the whole sentence. So I was saying, Brown Bear, what do you see? And you will answer me by saying, I see the red bird looking at me. So we won't sing the whole book. We just sing till the purple cat, okay? So you can look at the animals. we sing it to the tune of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. So it's really easy. Brown bear, what do you see?
I see a red bird looking at me.
Red bird, what do you see?
I see a red duck looking at me.
Yellow duck, what do you see?
I see a blue horse looking at me.
Blue horse, what do you see?
I see a green frog looking at me.
Green frog, what do you see?
I see a purple cat.
So you can go on
Purple
and
and blue.
you will sing all the you can sing all the color animals, and then the teacher and the student. So it's really fun. And like when you sing Five Little Monkey jumping on the bed, so you include movements, and then like Jill said, you count by five, because we have one hand, you have 5 fingers, and you count back 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you do the movement. 5 little monkey jumping on the bed, one fell off and bumped his head. Mama called the doctor, and the doctor said, and the children love this part. No more monkey jumping on the bed. So they can just say that part, and they really love it. And then last October, during Thanksgiving time, I was really impressed by my student, and they memorized this song. And then when we sing along, I do the part. The first one said, and then my student was able to give me the whole sentence. So I say, 5 little pumpkins sitting on the gate. The first one said,
Oh my, it's getting late.
"Hey." The second one said,
Which is in the air.
the third one said,
But we don't care.
the fourth one said,
Let's run and run and run.
the fifth one said.
I'm ready for some fun.
So it was really fun. And then these expression, I love these expression. And then our student would do like, but we don't care. It's really nice. And also teach them ordinal number, first, second, third, fourth. So it's very beneficial. For older children, we have to learn count by 5, 10, and 25, and that back in my Manning time, our preschoolers, they don't learn to count by 25 yet. So count by 5, you can also put in a tune, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, so on. You can count up to 100. And then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. I count up to 100. So 25, children often find it very challenging to count quarters, count by 25. So we put it in a song, 25, 50, 75, $1, 25, 50, 75, $1, 25, 50, 75, $1. I count up to 100. So if you sing that a few times a day, I think they can count quarters with no problem. So the benefit of using music to learn is that when you're learning music and language together, you're utilizing both hemispheres of your brain, and that help with better retention. And then when you sing, most songs have a lot of repetition, repeats of words and phrases and sentences, and also that will help children to build language. And also reinforce the basic skill in numeracy and literacy. And really, most concept you can find a song, 12 months of the year, 7 days of the week. And children learn so fast through songs. Provide language models. And it's fun, it's sharing enjoyment with adults. Phonemic awareness help them listening skill, cooperation because you work with another person, and obviously it promote creativity.
Thank you. The last portion of our presentation is on action songs. Action songs are songs that incorporate gross motor movements or large movements of their body along with the song. Most of us here in this room are probably familiar with songs that we label as action songs, but you would know them as examples like the Hokey Pokey. Put your right hand in, put your right hand down. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And if you're happy and you know it. So they're kind of old classics, but they still are really great for getting children's their whole body involved. During an action song, we see children listen. They follow directions that they hear. They imitate the actions of the other children and the teachers. Action songs, the children are reinforcing the concepts of left and right. They learn their colors, their numbers, their letters. We also find that action songs are really good for some of our students who are English language learners because they're based on gestures and movements. They're not as determined on the language initially. And then after we repeat the songs, then they learn the language and the melody of the song. So now it's my turn to get you guys up. We'll do one action song if you guys are willing to move one last time this evening. There is a short song, or not. You don't have to get up. You could just watch it. The gentleman in the song, he's a good sport.
We're going to get up and walk. We're going to do it.
It's go. Thank you over there. I hear somebody being my supporter here. This is called the Color Song, and it's just going to be based on recognizing colors that the children know. And let's see if it's going to come up for me. Let's see. All right. And they're going to tell you to do an action, even if based on the color. But it's okay if you're not wearing the color, you can still do the action. We're pretty forgiving, okay? So let's see. I believe we are. Can you guys hear? Can you hear? Okay. All right. Get ready. If you are wearing red, shake your head. It's pretty easy. Hey, what are you doing?
That's a good one.
This totally works for the preschool.
I like that.
Today's been our first time all day with cookies.
A lot of good vocabulary, too.
I guess I have green on too.
Definitely the class favorite. Okay, come on now. Thank you. Identifying their body parts, you know, the back. This is our last color.
And then they all fall down.
Thank you. You guys are very good sports. Thank you very much. All right.
Best board meeting ever.
If I can close this out. So you can see how these would appeal to the students. You know, they're great. They're great. Short activities. They're learning all sorts of the basic preschool skills that they need, and they're having fun. We recommend these to families all the time, and they say, well, when could we do that? Well, do it before you get a long car ride, you know, get some of that energy out. Do it on a rainy day when the children are stuck in the house. Do it while you're waiting for the school bus, you know. We all know the words to Hokey Pokey, so you don't have to have YouTube to sing along with. After a meal, you know, and then anytime. We find anytime's a great time. And, oops, the last couple slides, I think I've come off there, but the last couple of slides are, we gave a lot of resources. The Westmont is the perfect place to get tapes and videos for these. There are also just countless numbers of performers. Children's entertainment is a huge industry, and there are countless performers who are doing these songs and videos, and so it's not hard to find. But most of all, we wanted to share with our parents that these action songs are important because they're strengthening memory and recall for children. They're enhancing eye-and-hand coordination. They're also increasing the language skills, the vocabulary, and the word understanding. As you know, there were a lot of labeling of nouns, but there's a lot of action words, a lot of verbs in all these songs. They foster self-esteem and self-confidence, as each action song is a little performance. And most of all, they're fun for the children, and they become a bonding experience between parent and child when they can do these at home, because it's just fun time spent together. So, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
I just have a quick question or comment, either one. When you share these links and things with parents, is it done on the web somehow, or is there like a place that parents can go to find these different things? Because it's...
Yeah, we had like a resource packet, so it had all of the links to the YouTube videos. It had all the finger plays actually written out, so they can just reference it like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very good.
Which one of you won the bet that you could get us to get up and sing and dance?
We all had faith in you.
That was a first.
Thank you for bringing that to us.
Thank you very much.
So
It was
much.
a lot of fun. Thank you.
It was fun, too.
I
Thank you.
certainly hope the trigonometry teachers don't come in and try to ask us to. All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Any comments or questions? No. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Number 1, personnel recommendations. Number 2, policies on second reading. 3, disposal of equipment. 4, approval of student tour requests. 5, approval of February 2016 expenditure report. 6, ratification of January 2016 regular payroll. And 7, resolution to abate working cash funds.
So
And
moved.
roll call, please. Oh, wait.
So moved?
Second?
And roll call, please.
Ms. Ambrose.
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush.
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes.
Thank you.
And motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is a presentation of monthly financial statements.
The financial statements for January 2016 are in the packet. Again, this year, this month, the district received $85,000 from the state. We're still waiting on $385,000. Of that, $385,000, $229,000 is in the ed fund, and $155,000 is in the transportation fund. Our revenues are, trending where they should be at this time of year, and expenditures, again, are where they should be at this time of year. In the O&M fund, you can see we're 60.6% spent to date versus 48.8% last year. And again, that's because we did a lot of capital projects this summer. And in the transportation fund, our expenditures are low because we're still waiting on invoicing from one of our vendors. So hopefully they'll get that to us at some point. We can get them paid. The fund balance reports and the activity reports are attached, as well as the lunch report. Does anybody have questions?
I guess the same question. Any news out of the state, other than what we all hear?
No, there is Lend is having a meeting on Friday about some pending legislation, so I'll be going to that Friday morning and get an update of what new things might start spinning everybody and making them go crazy in the spring like they usually do, and then here we are, we don't know what's going on.
Right.
So
Emma, we all received an email from, I believe it's Senator Nybo, about some promise the governor made about this new pending legislation where they might be taking some money from us, but they've reduced some mandates. I mean, are you familiar with this email? Did you get
I
it?
have not read that email yet, but again, I think that's probably what some of the stuff that they'll be talking about tomorrow.
It seemed like it was a give and take, but
If it's has to do with some of the special ed and the GSA piece, that particular proposal, we actually are revenue neutral, which is surprising. Most districts are losing, but we're actually revenue neutral in that.
They were talking about the unfunded mandates, like something to do with physical education and with driver's education, and how that was going to free up some money for us, not us particularly, but school districts. So, and then because of the other because there was going to be some shift in the special education funding, that was actually, so it could actually be a plus for us.
Well, yes, I would say it's again a revenue neutral
Okay.
for us.
Okay, that's great. Then the next item is the 2016-2017 school fees.
Okay, so in your packet, there's several documents for you to review. On the proposed school fees, I highlighted in yellow the ones that we're looking to change, and then the ones that were in green are ones that I just had to double check with the schools to make sure, like the high school cap and gown, that was still an appropriate amount, that the vendor had not raised that. And then the Chromebook insurance, Nadine and I actually went over, and that $25 is what we would be recommending for both the junior high and the high school. This year, we're looking at just a couple increases. The junior high cap and gown is going up by $1, again, because of the vendor pricing. We're looking at, in the junior high, course fee for Intertech. It's the computer, like the 3D class, and so there is some expense there, so looking at adding that fee. Foods, increasing that to $35 based on the per pupil cost of that course. Art, again, a small increase to $30, and photography, an increase to $20. And you can see, I also have a table in there that you can see, I don't know, like a 8-10-year history of what the fees have been and the change from one year to the next. As we're looking at things, and Nadine put together a memo for you on our technology pieces. One of the things as we are implementing more technology into the classroom, we're looking at our tech fee. And I don't know, Nadine, if you want me to continue or you want to take it?
As the memo states, we've increased our classroom technology by about 85%. So in addition to the one-to-one program where students have the availability of a device full-time, we've actually almost poured technology into the classrooms kind of district-wide. So as we showed in the memo, that the per pupil cost, if you take all of the expenses in the budget and we kind of divide them up in terms of the hardware and the software and the subscriptions and, you know, a fair share of all the networking, it's almost $200 per student cost. So we're recommending that the board consider increasing the fee for the technology.
So you are looking to continue then into the high school now with the Chromebooks?
Yes, we're gonna, the thought is that we will furnish the freshmen next year with Chromebooks. It's pretty much all we can handle right now with our infrastructure, and then roll out the one-to-one throughout the high school in the future. Can't be specific, but that's what the plan is.
It says here that the we recommend that the technology fee be increased to an amount in the range of $50 to $85. So what is it currently?
Right now, at the elementary, so in the spreadsheet, there is a comparison for you. At the elementary, it's $15. At the junior high, it's $25, and at the high school, it is $35.
Well, it's a pretty hefty increase from 15 even to a minimum of 50 for the elementary building. Certainly to go all the way to 85 would be a huge increase on a lot of those families. I'm not sure I'm there on that.
Which are you looking, which of these things are you looking at? Comparisons to the other school, this is
There is,
it's called the proposed school fees for 2016-17, is that what we're?
hang on. The student fees proposed
Yeah, okay.
historical.
So like that one has the tech fee going for the high school, 35 to 85 is what you're saying?
Yes, and so
Okay.
those are highlighted in yellow
Okay.
where changes are being proposed.
And then am I seeing that percentage right? 466.67?
Yes, that is 466% at $85.
From 15.
Right, from 15.
Right, if the board recalls, the last couple of years, we've held fees constant. And so in one respect, we're kind of, catching up a little bit. Even at the $85 cost, that still isn't a cost neutral for the implementation of technology, but we are trying to expand the technology use in the buildings, at the same time try to supplement the technology budget a little bit. And so that's why, $85 gets us a little bit closer, but, that's why we're saying a range of 50 to 85, because we do understand that for our families, it's, compared to what they may have paid last year for technology, it is definitely an increase. Another way to look at it as well that we've kind of discussed is grades, 5 through 9, and as we bring the high school on, those students actually have a one-to-one device. K through 4, we've also increased the number of devices in the classrooms. And so we're not quite at a one-to-one environment, but we're getting close. And so we could, do a, K through 4, $50 fee, and then 5 through 12 go with the $85 because of the difference in how the devices are utilized in those buildings.
I get, that was going to be my question, because it seems like the biggest jump is at the elementary level, and they are not the ones with the devices, so am I missing something?
Well, the elementary students have far more access than they ever had before.
Oh, I know that, and I know that we,
And it's, yes, they don't have full-time take-home access, but the technology tools and resources that we're using in the classroom have increased. We've almost doubled the amount of devices we have available for the kids. In addition to that, the digital tools that we're using is, we're using a lot more subscription-based digital tools that have a per-year cost. And so the student, 2 years ago, we could show you that the students were using the computer labs. That was pretty much their only access to technology. 40% of the time, the labs were tied up for the map tests and, standardized tests. There's far more technology available for checkout. So classroom sets are available to teachers. Teachers can use them 2-3 times a week, the whole classroom set. So the elementary students are using technology far more than they ever had before, and that's afforded by the fact that we just did some shifting around.
the only question I had was, and I know what they all are, is that the elementary, like what Gary just said, the elementary percentage is so much higher. That's the only question I have, so,
The fifth grade students have full-time, so would the board perhaps think about it in terms of K4 and then 5 through 8 or 5 through 12?
yeah, like what you were saying.
Yeah, because that percentage there is based upon an increase to $85, so.
Right.
Well, I'm looking at all 3 increases here, and I want technology more than anybody else. I want to keep pouring it on the kids and doing all that, but I have to think about it in terms of people that have multiple children in the families, 2 and 3 kids in the district, some even 4. And, you're looking at a 466% increase, you're looking at a 240% increase, or a 142% increase. I'm sorry, that just seems rough on the families, okay? I'm just being as honest as I can there. I don't know. When we were talking about this last year and expanding all this, I thought we had, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but I thought we were shifting some costs from retiring old equipment and then purchasing new equipment and shifting other equipment to other buildings. How is that different from the fees we're now trying to impose on the students?
We're trying to offset the cost of the technology budget with the fees.
Right,
And I thought we were doing that by the way we were shifting some equipment around and so
We're able
forth.
to provide the one-to-one while keeping the budget small increase, essentially flat. So we're really just keeping up with trends in technology, and we're making decisions based on providing students the devices rather than refreshing labs or refreshing teaching.
and Gary, I think what you're referring to is that shift allowed us to get more devices down at the elementary level, and that we don't have that opportunity this time around as we expand the one-to-one. That was kind of last year, that was how we were able to do it. Going into next year, we don't have that same opportunity of being able to shift devices.
Still seems like a really big...
So then, would this be from now on?
Yeah.
Right. Because we don't have our students, some districts have the students purchase the device. We don't have our students purchase the devices. So, even, at an $85 cost, the device is about $300, Nancy? So even at $85, it doesn't quite cover the cost of the device. It gets close, but it doesn't quite cover the cost of the device. And they have approximately about a 3-year life expectancy. So, you know, a student who, you know, over 3 years, they're utilizing that device, doesn't quite cover that device, and then we're going to have to, you know, have new devices at the end of the 3 years for students. So, again, we understand, you know, if the board is comfortable with the $50 range, if there's another recommendation, you know, it's discussion this evening. Our hope is that our next board meeting, we would be able to have the fee schedule approved by the board.
Well, I guess I just want to make another point. So besides this increase in this fee, we're also talking about adding a new $15 Intertech fee, is this correct?
Yeah, and that's for that particular class, for students in that class.
That's a particular class, so it's not across the board.
No, that's
And
just
then-
that class.
And what other increases are we talking about in fees for next year besides this?
Then we are taking,
I mean, I can see the list here, but I'm,
yeah, so the one thing we also looked at, if you recall, 2 years ago, when we implemented full-day kindergarten, we charged a $2,000 tuition, and then we subsequently did not charge that. So what we did not do, though, is change the fee for full-day kindergarten. Full-day and half-day kindergarten are currently paying the same $75 fee, and we feel that it's appropriate for full-day kindergarten to pay the same fee as other full-day elementary students. So looking to increase, you know, to have them pay the $110, which is not an it's an increase
extremely
for
reasonable.
that, but have them pay, you know, the same fee as all other full-day elementary students. So that's one that we're looking at. Then obviously the tech fees. We would be implementing the Chromebook insurance fee at $25 at the high school. The junior high students currently pay $25, so with that implementation.
It's new only because they'd be getting.
Correct.
Right, so it's the
Okay.
same fee, just not
Right.
increased.
All right, then we are looking at actually eliminating a fee, so
Is that-
for the club
Yeah, I was wondering what-
activities, eliminating that at the.
What was that currently?
It's $25. So
So that's junior high and high school, so all clubs and activities? So what is that?
there are supposed to, some of the clubs are charging fees, and we've decided that, that it would just, in the interest of raising fees for technology, that we not charge club activity fees.
So activity, that's not sports.
No,
It's
it's
like chess club.
and those types of things.
And so, okay, so what does that fall? So chess club and
Chess
like
club.
flags and,
No,
is that-
flags should be a
is an act-
sport.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking out.
Yeah.
Rotary Interact, chess club, the
Is there a geography club or something?
geography club would be one. Yeah.
And what were they paying?
Well, $25
They were
was the
paying
fee.
$25, okay. You know, I have to ask one more question. I'm going to go back to what Gary said. So we bought these equipment, bought all these Chromebooks before, and we gave them to the students, and yet we were able to purchase that by offsetting with sending.
If we, so I guess what you're asking is, if we wouldn't have purchased the Chromebooks, what would we have purchased? Is that what you're asking?
No, what I'm wondering is, all we're talking about purchasing now, and just, so bear with me, because there's hardware and software. So what we're looking at purchasing right now is one more grade level, okay? But when we bought them before, we were able to do that by shifting equipment around. So what I'm trying to get my head around is the big jump in the fee that we're charging, that is proposed to charge to the families, because all what we're adding now is one class. Does that make sense, my question?
I'll go back. My question was more revolving around the technology budget itself. I thought we had money in the
Right,
technology
right,
budget
right.
every year to buy more Chromebooks. That's what I mean, now maybe I just misunderstood, which is always a possibility, but that's what I thought we were kind of saying last year, that, you know, we've got this money in the budget and we'll have the money in the budget again in the future, but this is what we want to do this year so we can increase the program more, because we went 2 grade levels last year, I
Right.
want to say.
Right.
Okay, so why is there suddenly this big jump in order to afford this next level of?
Yeah,
if
it's,
I
Kim,
was
that's-
saying that
Help me
right.
out for a second. What we're asking the board to help to do is to offset the budget. The budget that we have for technology is essentially the same as it's going to be, but there's like kind of annual costs. A significant part of the budget are things that are annual upgrading. We have to upgrade our network on a regular basis. We have to upgrade hardware and maintain our licenses for all of our software. So we're not asking for the fee to increase our budget, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's kind of, Nadine alluded to this, that, as we continue to add devices, then you have to take a look at the infrastructure, and there are things that have to be done with the infrastructure in the school district, increasing bandwidth in order for us to effectively be able to utilize the devices. And so as we do that, the technology budget can't, we can only stretch it so far. And so in the prior years, the focus is on devices. We were doing some upgrades to the infrastructure, but now if the plan is to bring the high school online, there's going to be even more significant upgrades needed. And so between trying to get devices into students' hands to maintain our current network and then upgrade our network, it's going to take additional dollars.
it just concerns me that it's so high all of a sudden. Like, we did all this work before, and we didn't change anything. And we had that money. And it was all explained that we had, I mean, I clearly remember those conversations. And now it just seems like it's such a big jump from the families to supplement the technology budget. Now, again, I agree, we need the technology, and just watching the kids do all this, it just seems like a huge jump to the families. That's kind of what because I'm still trying to get my head around how could we do it before with cost neutral, and now we're adding one set in addition to, like, what Kevin's saying in terms of the infrastructure and
And
everything.
for example, our network and all of our back end that supplies the schools with internet and bandwidth between buildings, the core switches are 10 years old. So this is the year that we need to change that equipment. Now, that becomes imperative because technology is such an integral part of the classroom and of teaching and learning for the students. If we're on that road where we're just refreshing the devices that we already had without any kind of attention being paid to providing devices for students across the entire district, not just for the one-to-one, then we could get by with an old network and not, it wouldn't be as imperative. But we're in a situation now where our classrooms depend on the use of technology to deliver instructional materials, to provide opportunities for our students. So it's, we have to make some choices in terms of where the budget gets stretched to.
And I'm not disagreeing at all. It just seems like the percent is so high as opposed to anything else. That's the only reason.
So it's $80.
Right, and a percent of
You know, and I
A
can't get hung
small
up on a
number is-
percent. If it was a
right.
$1 fee before and it's 80, it'd be, you know,
Right, I know.
Right.
so
I know.
I don't want to get hung up on that. I think we should just kind of focus on the dollar amount. And we do, I think we
Right.
do have to keep in mind, I think 2 years we didn't raise
Right.
fees.
Right.
So we didn't, you know, every year, you know, we review this and we said, no, we're not raising fees, we're not raising
Right.
fees. Well, now this year we have a need
Right.
and we haven't raised fees. And so, you know, yeah, it's a little more of a hit this year than it's been in the past couple of years because we kept them low for those years. So if we're not doing this every year and we're doing it every couple of years, I don't see it as being that big of a jump. Do we need to go all the way up to 80? That'll be, I guess, a decision for, you know, the board to think about and make. But I mean, I think we do have to keep that in mind. And,
No,
you
I
know, we know
appreciate it.
from the end of the year balances we've had in our accounts that, you know, there's not a lot of excess there, especially as time is going on,
Right.
you know. So it is something to be mindful of. We don't have many avenues for additional revenue, but we have lots of pathways for expenses. So, you know, we do have to kind of balance that, and it's very difficult. So,
Right, so, and and there is a mistake in my spreadsheet I noticed when I copied over one of the columns, but the last time we raised fees was 2012-13. So they were held constant, the majority of them in 13-14, 14-15, and 15-16. So,
Well, then I'd say we shouldn't be so conservative every year and try to hold cost on fees if we're going to all of a sudden implement a huge fee increase because we didn't raise the fees the last 3 years. Would it have been smarter for us to raise the fee $5 every year? Or is it smarter to hold it off for 3 years and then hit people for $50 and $60?
we can certainly make sure that
That's all I'm
we
saying. It
address that.
just seems like a lot to me.
well, you know, when we've done that in the past, then we complain about nickel and diming people too. So
I know.
it's,
I
you know,
agree.
it's
I agree.
one way or the other sometimes. But this has been a big change, and we know the change that it has made for our students and in our classrooms and the way we deliver educational content. And so I think, you know, sometimes we have to, you know, we all want this. We're all thrilled when we make the decision to do these things, and then downstream there's, you know, maintenance costs that go along with this, and, you know, this is one of those. So I think we've given our students an awful lot of technology over the past couple of years, and we've tried to substitute where we could, you know, not buying new desktops and then putting the funds towards, you know, purchasing the one-to-ones or whatever. So, you know, I think those are things we have to keep in mind as well.
I think I have to say that I agree with both of what Joel and Gary are saying, because it does seem like we went from, we had it all, and then there's this big jump. And yes, you know, I think everybody can agree how, you know, the technology is learning. It just seems like it's, you know, like, you know, I like both of what they're saying. Like, it seems like there's all of a sudden this big jump, but,
I think there's two parts to it, right? So, I mean, one is, of course, we're struggling with the jump right now. So if you're going from 15 to 85, you got the $70 jump. And if, like you say, if you have 4 kids, that's a lot of money. Okay. I think part of it is just that that we didn't see it coming. So, I mean, one decision is going to be, what do we want to do now? But I think the other thing that would make this easier, because technology is going to grow, we're going to be doing more of this, is saying, how can we have a little, you know, is there a way to have a little more foresight? Is there, our equipment, like it says, 10 years old, but we knew it was going to be 10 years old. Should we have had something a little more readily visible that kind of said, okay, this year we're looking at 85. What are we looking at the year after that? What are we looking at the year after that? Are we expecting that certain equipment is going to hit the end of its lifespan and we're going to have another jump? Should we plan in that?
Equipment ending its lifespan every year, but in terms
Sure.
of the significant cost, you know, the one-to-one is expensive, and the network equipment that we need to shore up our infrastructure, as well as next year we're going to have to increase our bandwidth significantly, probably more than double. So our costs will, I guess at some point, I've done a little projection, and at some point, it's going to flatten out because we will have everything we need. Then it's just going to be a case of refreshing, and because once again, those Chromebooks are only going to last us 3 years. So at some point,
Sure.
once we, deploy the devices to the rest of the high school, and we've refreshed our network equipment, and the other thing is it's our hope that we'll end up saving the district money, but I can't give you any data on that, because once we do things a little bit more efficiently and effectively, then it might perhaps be a cost saving. That's our hope, but I can't, once again, once we get to a certain point in this plan, then it'll just be maintenance, because unless you plan to move forward with, one-to-one throughout the district, which, then there's lots of other issues with
Sure.
personnel and everything. So,
Yeah.
but I think your point is well taken. Where does it stop?
I'm
In
actually,
a couple of years,
I'm not so worried about where does it stop, because it may always grow, and as long as we find a way to manage that, that can be a very good thing. It's a little more just knowing it's coming, because I think the biggest thing here is if we had a little more understanding that this was coming, and we could have said, yes, we know this is going to hit us, and we can either prep for it, or we can at least be ready to say, we knew it was coming, yes, we're going to make this jump. So, and like you said, things are going to be turning over every year, but there's going to be some of the bigger things, and there's going to be more regular things. So the better prepared we can be, as long as we can make some efforts to make sure that we see it coming, then we won't necessarily have to have this conversation.
And this is all kind of new territory too, the technology and how it grows exponentially and costly. And we really didn't know to get down the road. So there's also a learning curve too. And I think, so, going forward, then we would know better.
I think, and once again, I think the expansion of the one-to-one was something that a couple of years ago we couldn't have really, we knew was always possible, and we thought perhaps it might be something we could explore, but I think what happened is when we started to implement the one-to-one, it was so successful, and it was such a rich program, and the kids did such a great job, and the teachers embraced it. So now it's becoming a reality because we started it and it went well. So, I think probably the plan a couple of years ago would be to stop at 7th grade and to stop at 8th grade and just let the high school kids bring their phones, but that's not enough now. We can see what kind of rich experience that this full-time access to a small computer can add to their environment, and it's something that we really hope for our kids.
I will ditto, I think, what Matt said, too. I seem to be agreeing with everybody tonight. But I think, like, this memo is dated today, so we didn't really, it just kind of seems like all of a sudden it's here. And I know we're talking about it, so I know that's the purpose of it. It just seems like all of a sudden we're here. So some advance notice of that would probably make it easier for everybody, so.
I guess I just have one last question, and this is more regarding the construction at the high school. Is there anything we should be doing in the construction of the high school that will help the future of the technology in that building? Beyond any fee or anything we're talking about here, is there?
I think that's being taken into consideration.
Right, that's one of the things that part of the discussion is, since we're going to be enclosing those classrooms, what do we
We're
want?
gonna need something.
Right, what do we want those classrooms to look like, and to include in those classrooms, so that is part of the conversation.
And it's my hope that we are agile and we can somehow predict the future to some degree, and that we make careful decisions in terms of what technology is included in that construction project, because once, we do really want to be ready for it. We don't want to be caught with trying to rewire and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's being taken into consideration, and it's really, it's a great opportunity. When will this be brought to us to determine?
Our next board meeting is what we would hope for.
Do we want to look at a sliding number, or like what you said for the elementary school? I mean, what do people think, or do we just go?
I think maybe the 50 for the elementary and then 85 for the other two.
What is?
I think another part of it is looking forward too. I mean, we can make the decision for this year, but do we know what we might be looking at for next year? So, I mean, because that's going to influence how I feel about this year. If we're saying next year we need to be at 100, then I might be inclined to get a little bit closer to the 85 this year, so that's not as painful next year. I mean,
Right. Well, let's, what if, for our next board meeting, you know, Kim, myself, Nadine, we can take a look at it and see, look out a couple of years and see what it looks like, and then have it as a discussion item at the next board meeting with some of that information, and then our second meeting in March, then have it as an action item. Because we can also look at, is it possible to phase it in, the 85? Or is it something that we need to get to, but then it'll stay at that level for a couple of years, so.
I like that idea, because I think it's important for us to be able to tell the families what we're doing. And that brings up a good point. Like, what do the next couple of years look like? And, I mean, it's a good opportunity, too. We're bringing in this technology. It's good to share that, but I think you have to look at both. So I like that idea. That seems to make sense to me.
With regard to, it's kind of related, with regard to like textbooks, and did we ever have like a fund, or is that something that gets determined at the building? So when textbooks are needed,
Right.
And with more content going digital, there are, I don't want to say there's funds there. Is there a shift from the two?
Right, and that, that's been our conversation. At one time, the state of Illinois provided textbook money to districts, and it rotated grade levels and subject areas. That, we haven't received that in years. Right. So we do have textbook money within the budget, and then as the buildings, for instance, last year, going into this year, it was looking at a new edition of Everyday Math at the elementary level. And so, combination of building monies, and then that would also be an area that Nadine is involved in. We were able to purchase those. So recently, the foreign language, they had a textbook proposal for the board. The board approved the textbook proposal, and they're actually having that conversation right now. Is it better to go with a hard textbook or go with a digital? The digital is a little bit lower cost up front, but needs to be upgraded periodically. And then the problem with the hard textbook is that if anything changes in the world, then you're still augmenting, supplementing, and so, and really we don't want those things to drive our curriculum, but that is part of the conversation. There is an initial cost savings by going with digital books, but then we also have to understand that we're going to have money available earlier in the cycle than we would have with a hard textbook.
So there's an annual fee, so you have to make sure that it's, that the purchase is scalable. So it might, you can start by saying, okay, this annual fee is less expensive than a textbook that's gonna last you 15 years, but you have to make sure that you have that annual fee in the budget. So it's a shift, and it's tricky because how much content is available digitally, and what kinds of decisions, but that's a very complex discussion with regard to curriculum materials, and how it is we supplement, and how we find the resources to fit into our curriculum. That's very complex. Right now, there's a significant amount of content that we use digitally, but there are certain content areas that rely on more high level, more structure, so you can't just say that it could be you can't just make that broad-based decision that everything will be digital, because that's not necessarily the best approach for all content areas.
Well, I like what you proposed, Kevin.
Okay.
Are we in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Quick question, how is this portion of the fees influenced, or is it, by students eligible for, say, free and reduced lunch?
I mean,
The tech fee?
the tech fee,
Yeah,
it
the
would
tech
be
fee.
waived.
Be waived, and that's been considered in these numbers, of course, right?
Right, well, and again, one of the things, we never know quite how many families are going to have their fees waived, but one of the other considerations too is, the state is considering, this year, the year before, some of our direct certification, there were Medicaid eligible students, and they were directly certified by the state, so we had a higher number of families receiving fee waivers last year. This year, that dropped because that Medicaid piece went away. They're now discussing possibly bringing that back for next year. So we could have more families for the 16-17 school year qualify for fee waivers.
Okay, thank you.
And that obviously impacts the majority of our fees except for some of the extracurriculars.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next item, property tax assessment appeals.
Last year, I think we got off easy with this. There were relatively few tax assessment appeals. This year, we received 23. And if you look at the current EAV for those, it's about $31 million. There's a couple, and I always love that we can get these appeals and people don't put in there what they're proposing to change it to. I'm not sure how that gets accepted, but anyway, so I made my best estimated guess of what they might be looking for that. But we're looking at somewhere between $8 and $10 million decrease in EAV from these appeals if they would all go through. Now, obviously, they do work to try, the Board of Review does try and, work on these and make sure that, they're not just, fulfilling all of these requests. They actually go in and review and make sure they're reasonable, either deny them or make some adjustments. Some of the larger ones we have sent off to our attorney to work on these on our behalf. So anyway, if that $8 to $10 million could potentially be a 1.8 to 2.3% decrease in our EAV, which again, the EAV decreases, the tax rate increases. So anyway, we've let the Board of Review know, that we want to be made aware of what's happening in these. And like I said, the attorney is involved in quite a few of these. So I'll keep you updated as I hear information. And I'm not sure why so many this year, because we did not, this is what it was like, a few years ago, we had a lot. Then it slowed down, like last year, almost non-existent, but then this year, a significant number again, so.
What percentage of these appeals win, or whatever? There-
I don't know what percentage. There are several that you can see get adjusted, slightly. Some of it has to do, typically, there are certain enterprises on here that appeal their taxes every single year.
Like
It just doesn't
AT&T.
matter, of course, AT&T,
Every
JSQ Bush is probably on there, Westmont Business Park, the HTW, which is the Ty Warner, those are all there. There's a couple new ones on here, so the PH OBH Hotel, that's new. So some of them, again, it's just a matter of course, they have an attorney and they do this routinely year after year. Sometimes, there's changes, sometimes not, sometimes they're small. It's where they're asking for significant changes that, we want to make sure that we are involved. So like the very last one, the Realty Associates, the one above it,
Right.
some of those, obviously the hotel with the TBD will be involved in that one. So, yeah, it's really kind of hard to say what, I haven't done a study to see what percentage of those get done, but there are minor adjustments every year.
Well, thank you for that. Any questions? Comments? Okay, the next item is capital project reporting.
Okay. All right, so our committee met a few times to go over these rather lengthy list of capital projects throughout the district. They are put together, the document is put together by school, and then we also have a summary of costs by building. And then this year I also color-coded them based on the project type, because we have several schools with the same types of projects. And so when we look at doing bids, obviously, if you can lump all your projects together, hopefully you get a better price. So we wanted to look at, how much concrete work do we have to do? Parking lots, we've got roofs in there, lighting upgrades, restroom improvements. We have HVAC, we've got mechanical, electrical and plumbing. We've got some carpeting replacement that still needs to be done in some of our buildings, and landscaping. And we also have, then there's some miscellaneous I just put in as other. And then, of course, we have some pool repairs, and the pool repairs aren't all of them, just some of them right now. So overall on this list, there's $8.5 million worth of projects, and that's in addition to the $9 million worth of projects that we're going to do this summer. But what we did is had pretty lengthy discussions about some of our priorities and determining. We also have listed what particular funds revenue or these expenses might be able to come out of. So some of them could be life safety. Some could come from our capital improvement, potentially our bond issue, and then our O&M fund. So I identified all the possible places where we could pay for those. Right now, none of these projects are on our life safety survey. We are going to be doing that probably early summer. And so we'll have potentially a whole new list of items to add. And then we can determine at that point if some of these that could be life safety, if we want to include them on that life safety plan. So next, the committee discussed, what are our priorities. So at the high school, we looked at some of the roofing repairs. There's a gym roof flashing repair and the drains, and some of those things we really need to get done to make sure that we don't have any leaks and have other issues there. Then there's some concrete repairs that need to be done. So I don't know if you've all been to the high school recently and looked at those entranceways. The concrete is very pitted and things like that. So that again, we don't want to have tripping hazards and things like that. So that definitely is a priority item for us. We've got some basketball tension straps that we
Can
need
I
to
just
do.
interrupt for 1 second? In the final column where you say priority possible alternate summer 2016, what you're saying there, that notation is that perhaps that could be worked into the projects that are being done over the
Right.
summer? Okay,
Yep.
thank
And
you.
I'll get to that.
Thank you.
part.
Okay. Just
Okay.
while you were talking about it.
Yep, okay. And then also at the high school, there's some roof pipe insulation, again, can be part of all that roofing piece that's done. And those are the main priorities for the high school. So again, we're looking at some of these that we might be able to put into our capital project bid for the summer 2016, and I've identified off to the far right which projects we might be able to do that. So what we're going to discuss tonight is actually looking at putting some of these projects as alternate bids And so when we do the project, we have the base, the core of what we need to be done. It looks like there might be some additional funds available. So if we do alternate bids for some of these projects, if our bids come in as we're kind of predicting, then we can, when we get the bids for these things, we can determine, yes, do they fit into the financial parameters of the current projects, or no, do we have to say, no, these now need to come out of the O&M fund? So that's kind of where we're looking at. So these particular projects, that's what we'd be looking to do, is put them into our summer project as alternate bids, and then when we get those bids, evaluate at that time if we can do that, or if we need to go out to bid separately for some of these projects. So then when you go to the junior high, again, sidewalk replacement at the front and the gym entrance, again, a lot of cracking, splitting. Those pavers around the flagpole are kind of crumbling and not level, so we'd be looking to replace all of that with concrete. And again, the tension straps for the basketball backboards. Now, those basketball tension straps, some of that may be able to come out of, pay for that out of the O&M fund. And depending upon where we wind up this year as we get closer to the end of the year, a couple of these, like those, would be things that I would be looking to just purchase out of O&M funds this year as we get closer to, April, May, and see where our balances are at. Then at Manning School, unfortunately, most of these items that are on here are not part of this summer projects. The couple things that are kind of in the pink purple toward the bottom of that page, where they say bid alternate in the priority pieces, the bathroom faucets, that our kindergartners brought to us, as we again look at and we're doing our renovations there, we're going to put those bathroom pieces in as alternate bids. Also, there's some partitions in the bathrooms, and so try and incorporate some of that, so maybe we can upgrade the staff bathroom as well. So that's what you're looking at there. And then for Miller School, there are 10 new bench tables in the lunchroom. And then, so that's one thing that possibly in the scope of the summer project, depending upon how we configure the entrance, we would be doing some renovation, changing some things in the gym, and that would be included as part of the redo of the office area, depending again on which particular plan we wind up with. Then there's some draperies in the gym, and those need to be replaced. Again, that's one of those things that we can consider. We want it on our radar, something that probably should be done. And again, as we look at to see where our balances wind up toward the end of this year, again, maybe something that we say, okay, we're going to do that out of remaining O&M funds. And South School, we've got some landscaping. We actually have some landscaping at the high school that should be done. And at Manning, there's some landscaping as well, but that landscaping is going to be included because we're doing that addition on the outside of the building. And so there's landscaping work already at Manning included in the summer projects. But in the other two locations, we're looking at, again, at doing some of that. We can put that as alternate bid into the current projects. And again, we'll come back to you and kind of see, kind of giving you an overview right now of what we want to do so you can think about it and know that these are some of the things we're looking at, and we're going to wait and see where these bids come in and look at our budget and then go from there. District-wide grounds, there's a few things there. Again, nothing that is of an utmost priority. When we look at like the repairs to the dugouts and concession stands, some of that, again, it's something that needs to be done, but I think can come out of our O&M fund, again, as repair. And then the one piece of equipment that we should consider is the John Deere mower and snow blower needs to have either some significant repairs done to it or be replaced. So we're going to get estimates on the repairs. Replacement cost is probably around $35,000. So looking at that, and that is one of the things that is a higher priority for us in the district. And that would come out of O&M funds as part of our capital budget there. So ultimately, at the high school, we've prioritized about $115,000 worth of projects. At the junior high, just under 40. At Manning, 8,000 beyond what, the renovations that are happening with the summer projects. At Miller, 29,000. South, 12,000. And the district, the 35,000. So overall, about $238,000. If you recall from our 5-year plan, we put $275,000 into the capital projects, into the FY17 budget. So if some of these were not able to be done in the 2016 summer projects, we do have some funding available in the FY17 budget to do some of these. So again, as we get to April, we can decide if this is something we want to try and do this summer or early next summer on some of these. Does anybody have other questions or things? And obviously, we have $8.5 million and we don't know what's going to be added for life safety. We obviously don't have those kind of fund balances in our accounts for those things. So one of the things, when you're looking at roofs, we have $883,000 worth of roofing projects. We have $1.2 million worth of parking lot projects. Lighting upgrades, $863,000. Restroom improvements, $594,000. HVAC, over $2 million. The mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, $1.2 million. Carpeting, about $281,000. And other, almost $920,000. So, we were fortunate in the past to have the CDB grant that allowed us to do a lot of upgrades to our buildings. I have not obviously seen any grants coming through from the state. I mean, occasionally we get, $50,000, $75,000 grant here or there where we've done some projects over the last couple of years. So we are going to need to start thinking about some other funding sources or working out a plan, especially like some of these roofs and the parking lots to try and get some of these projects taken care of, because some of them have been on the list since I've been here, and this will be 6 years now, so.
So what do you want from us tonight? Start
really
with
just
questions and stuff?
Yeah,
or?
questions. Is there something else you want to talk about? I mean, just wanted you to kind of see this, be able to digest it, tell you what we're planning to do. I mean, our hope is that our bids on our current summer projects come in a little bit lower so that we can do some of these things. And it doesn't mean that we then have to spend all that money, this year as well. If the bids come in lower, we want to take some time and, look at where everything comes in and then go through and do things, and look at it for next summer and say, okay, we've got, $500,000 left. Do we want to start now, looking at roofs or some things like that with that? That's where we're at. Just wanted you to get, an overall sense and feel of where we're at. The other thing I did not talk about too was South School. There's a few projects there We're renovating the washrooms and replacing the 2 univents in the gym. Those things, we've been holding off to see if we wanted to add another classroom. We don't think that we're going to be looking to add another classroom at South. So we do have some of the 2012 bond issue left that we could do those 2 projects out of. And we would not look to do those this summer. I think we have more than enough projects on our plate this summer, but it would be the following summer. So just wanted
I'll
to,
say it again. Come on, Kim, all 5 buildings, you can do it. Come on,
yeah,
one summer, all
know.
5 buildings.
I'm up to most challenges, but I prefer not to take that one on, but.
Well, as a general overview, first of all, I appreciate the fact that like when the summary by project type, as we were talking before the meeting, color coding, because, if you're gonna do some concrete work, you might as well,
Right.
I mean, I would imagine that there would be some
Right.
cost
Some
savings
economies of
in
scale
that, right? And also, when you're looking at these things, there's also, it's just like when we do home repair, like, nobody wants to really spend a lot of money on things you don't see.
Right.
But unfortunately, you have to at some point. So, like you say, some of these items that have been on the list forever. So there's that balance between the two. But then areas like concrete, like especially where the kids are walking all the time.
Right.
That's obviously.
We have parents, we have students,
Right.
staff,
And you see, when you're going to the buildings, you can see how there's like patchwork being done. But obviously, everything would be great to just do everything. So I appreciate the fact that there's all different kinds of things on here. And I will be very interested to hear what we can do, where the bids come in, and see if we can capture some of these, especially things like lighting and that, like in the high school.
Right, and there might be some things, again, that we can do. And obviously, we're going to try and, work on grants. Now, we also, the other thing for the high school, one of their ovens in the kitchen, we approved that purchase. We've been waiting because we should be able to get some deco money for that, like $1,500. But without the state approving the budget, they can't even allow us to do an application for that money. So unfortunately, our hands are tied because the state of Illinois does not move forward in a fiscally responsible manner.
So I have a question. Under the high school, under tennis court removal, you have a note, village may use this area for water tower. What is?
Yeah, there's been some talk that they may want to put a water tower in that location. So then obviously if they were going to do that, that would be something that we would look for them to facilitate removing the tennis courts. And I think I haven't been out there for a while, but I think they're in pretty bad shape. And no one's used them. We don't have a tennis team. Again, nothing's been done to them
Yeah, I know, that's
in
one of
6
those
years.
things.
So.
But, so is that, I mean, does that, the village would rent that property from us, or how does that, I mean, in terms of?
It would be an intergovernmental agreement.
Okay.
And as Kim pointed out, any improvements that would be required, they would pay for. Intergovernmental agreement. In other districts where that's occurred, sometimes they'll, put the school name on the water tower, the logo, and, that type of thing. But,
Yeah.
We would have to work out some type of intergovernmental agreement with them
Okay.
if they were serious about pursuing that.
Yeah, I just, looking at your notes and things and stuff, so,
I could see the water tower shaped as a sentinel, right?
great big sentinel.
All right, so does are there other questions? Is everyone comfortable with kind of the direction that we're headed with some of these projects and kind of seeing where things kind of fall
They're stacked up 16, 17 year, mostly because they've been on hold for a long time?
Yeah,
Is that the
you
main
know what?
reason?
And we just kind of threw them in there. The other thing is I did add the column with the project cost, so we always know what that is, and then we can shift them. We didn't really go obviously, all of them really, I mean, we think are higher priority. They just kind of got lumped there. There's not, and, you know, do we decide, hey, we want to throw them out? We didn't put anything in 19, 20. But obviously, some of those will probably get shifted as we go. So the fact that they're in 16, 17 is just,
They're at the starting line.
they're just at the starting line.
Okay.
Because they have been there quite a while. But we know we can't do those, can't incorporate all those in the 16, 17 year.
So we are not really voting on anything tonight. We're just going
No,
towards,
this is
like,
just
looking
discussion,
where-
giving you, again, like the school fees, letting you digest what is out there. If you have questions, you know, you can, you know, please contact me. I'll look into, you know, see whatever other information you may need answered, you know, questions you have, things like that. And again, really, I think we're just in a holding pattern right now, but just wanted people to know what's out there and that we do need to, I don't know, hopefully some creative solutions will come to help us garner $8.5 million.
Well, I, again, will say I'm excited to see what comes about with this summer and what, you know, what projects that we have on our list can be perhaps incorporated into those while we're doing them. And as you're saying, possibly going to alternate bids to deal with some of the needs of the district. It would be nice if it was just all like pretty things, but like we know in our own homes that that other stuff, like the roof stuff, no one ever sees that, but boy, if that's a problem, then that's gonna really cost you, so. Well, thank you for this, and the committee for meeting, and who's on this committee? Gary
and Judy.
Great. Well, thank you. So we will be talking about this again. Thank you very much, Kim.
Okay.
All right, superintendent's report?
Just a couple items this evening. First of all, this is a recap on February 10th. We did host our math night, and we did have a very nice turnout. We had over 50 parents who did attend, and any feedback I received from parents, they were very pleased with the evening and were happy that we hosted it. So overall, it went very well. And then it's hard to believe, but we've set our registration dates for the 2016-17 school year. And because we have a little bit later start of the school year, the registration dates also been bumped back a little bit. So this year, registration will occur on August 11th and August 18th from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And registration for all schools will take place at the junior high. So we will be at the junior high again for registration, again, August 11th and 18th, and we'll be getting that information out. And then, as always, if those dates and times don't work for a parent, they're free to contact their child's school, and they can set up a time to come in and complete registration at that time.
Okay, great. Are there any board reports? You want to talk about the musical?
No.
Musical? Well, the high
Because
school
I don't have it
musicals.
off the top of my head.
The high school musicals coming up.
March, what's
Next week,
Okay.
4th, 5th, and 6th, Grease.
Greece, yes.
And it'll be live, just like the Grease Live was on TV. It'll be live. Okay, anyone else have anything? Board reports? Okay. Are there any public comments? All right, then, future events, the 9th grade parent information, what? 9th grade?
It's freshman.
These are,
These have already
not-
occurred. Yeah.
do we know, do we have anything else?
Look in the board docs.
In board, okay, let me go there. All right. Okay, so Teacher Institute Day, March 4th, there's no school. And then Greece is March 4th and 5th at 7 o'clock and March 6th at 2 o'clock. And then the next school board meeting is March 8th here at 7 o'clock at the Village Hall. All right. The chair will entertain a motion to enter closed session for the purpose of discussing collective bargaining, personnel issues, student discipline, probable litigation and the superintendent's evaluation instrument.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Armstrong,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mrs. Knockbush,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose,
Yes.
Mrs. Charlton.
Yes. And there will be a vote after closed.
Nice.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the district non-certified staff salaries for the 2015-2016 school year as presented.
So moved?
Second?
And roll call, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mrs. Notbush?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Ambrose?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Ms. Charlton?
Yes. Okay, so motion passes. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.